Hi guys, I'm going to review the video called Young Muscular People Are Dying by the channel Minus the Gym.
In the past few years, I've seen many fit people dying way too young, and it's something I wanted to finally address here on the channel. And just for example, there's Charles Poliquin, who's a world-renowned strength
57, that's kind of normal for people who do any kind of bodybuilding strength training.
coach. He passed away at only 57 years old. There's Megan Elizabeth, a bodybuilding competitor, passed away.
Come on, she doesn't even look like a woman. She looks like a guy. Obviously she was on drugs.
And most recently, Scott Murray, a personal trainer and fitness YouTuber.
I heard about this guy. He was exercising like crazy and supposedly had an eating disorder. It's not a surprise.
Much like myself, who passed away at 27. And the crazy part is that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so many. If you just Google bodybuilders who've died young, fitness competitors who've died young, you'll see that there are tons of these. There's dozens.
What's surprising about that? It's incredibly stressful for the body. It's unnatural, meaning that you don't live as a human is naturally supposed to, and then you're punished with death. I don't get it. It's normal for people to die in their 20s if they do bodybuilding or anything like that. Absolutely normal.
There's dozens of people out there just in the last 5 years or so. So what's happening? Well, a lot of people blame steroids. They say, oh, they're using steroids, their heart enlarges and it's bad for their cardiovascular.
It's a big part of it. There's a lot of other drugs, of course, people use. There's so many nowadays, actually.
System. Absolutely. Any kind of PEDs, whether they call them steroids or pro-hormones, they're not good for your body. I think we all know that, and that's pretty obvious. So I don't want to talk about that in this video. What I want to talk about is the side of it that not a lot of people are addressing here, and that is the nutrition. In order to understand why I know about this and why I'm so passionate about it, you have to go back to my very first video.
Ever.
I'm Ryan from Minus the Gym. And if you're wondering what my channel's all about, it actually goes all the way back to my childhood. You see, when I was a kid growing up, I was always one of the heaviest kids in my class. I just didn't take care of myself. I ate junk food, I drank soda all day, and I didn't play any sports. After my family started to show concern for me, that's when I decided
you don't have to play sports not to be overweight as a kid or whatever age. Of course, if you drink soda and sit around all day playing video games, for example, then you're gonna get very fat. But if you would eat a meat-based diet, for example, then you couldn't even get fat. It's impossible. It was your diet, of course, not the lack of exercise.
enough was enough, and I had to lose weight the right way. That's when I started researching fitness and nutrition day in and day out. Not only did it become an obsession of mine, but it also became my passion. And finally, I was able to achieve a body that I was really proud of. But my journey didn't stop there. When I was 25 years old, my doctor diagnosed me with stage 2 hypertension and prescribed me medication for high blood pressure. I refused to fill the prescription.
That's good.
Instead, I was determined to understand why, after all my hard effort, I still wasn't healthy. You see, in this photo here, I was only about 20 years old. I started lifting weights when I was 16, and I put on about, 20, 25 pounds. I was 205 in that photo. Fast forward to about age 25, I go to the doctor, he takes my blood pressure, and he says, Ryan, you're 25 with the blood pressure of a 75-year-old man. He said, I got to put you on meds. You're at risk of a stroke, man. And I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. I was like, wow, I'm eating my chicken breast and my turkey breast and my whey protein shakes and my egg whites and all my lean proteins. I'm doing sweet potatoes and brown rice and oats, steel cut oats. I thought I was doing everything.
There you go. That already was a problem. The reason humans in general have high blood pressure nowadays is because of salt, for example. But of course, more so foods that cause inflammation. And of course, rice and oats will most definitely do that. High blood pressure is simply a way for the body to clean congested arteries and veins. That's it. If your arteries are not blocked, let's just say, then you would have more or less normal blood pressure. That being said, strokes and also heart attacks usually occur when you have low blood pressure and also low cholesterol. I'm sure he's going to talk about cholesterol anyway.
A friend of mine I went to high school with, he went to school for nutrition. And we got back in touch right after that. And he said, Ryan, you're eating the wrong diet, man. And he showed me how to eat a plant-based diet. And this is what I talked about in the first video here on the channel.
Of course.
I started Minus the Gym with two things I wanted to bring to you. The first one was body weight fitness.
Look at all the blood in his head. That's really unhealthy.
and how convenient and amazing it is and accessible it is, and why that's what I promote. But also, I wanted to talk about the plant-based diet because
It's good that you promote that instead of going to the gym.
that literally saved my life. Within just a few months of eating plant-based, my blood pressure normalized.
I don't know why you're showing that. It's incredibly unhealthy what you're showing right now.
And all these other little problems I was having, like acne and bloating and gas and, digestive issues, all those things went away. Just like within a very short time.
How did your bloating go away if you started eating more plants, which have fiber, and that is the main cause of bloating, gas, and all of that?
And I've been healthy ever since. I mean, I go to the doctor still, and they take my blood work, they take my vitals, and they have no recommendations for me.
That's a very bad sign, actually. What modern medicine sees as good blood markers are usually very wrong. Just the cholesterol alone is said to be very low, even though it should be a lot higher. And as we know, all of the longest living humans on Earth have what would be considered in modern medicine high cholesterol.
In fact, last time I got my blood work checked, he looked at the number. It was right smack dab. The cholesterol, total cholesterol was 150 milligrams per deciliter, and the doctor said,
that's very low.
There's nothing I can do. You're like the healthiest man that's come through my practice in years.
Yeah, but some decades ago, you would have been seen as somebody unhealthy because you would have too low cholesterol. There's also such a thing. Maybe not nowadays because it's almost impossible to get it so low because you would be basically dead.
But when you look at the diets of these fitness competitors, when you look at the diets of like Charles Poliquin, for example, he was eating lots of meat, just about 50 grams of carbs a day.
Yeah, but he died in his 50s. It's not like he died in his 20s, and you could already see how he looked like. Obviously, he stressed himself to death. It's normal. It doesn't matter if you're gonna eat lower carb, you're still gonna die from it, obviously.
From what I've read, okay, all of that meat, fish, dairy, eggs, trust me, it does not do well for your body.
What are you talking about? How does it not do well for our bodies? That's what humans have been eating. Okay, actually, this guy probably doesn't even know that the first recorded heart attack was just around 100 years ago. How can that be if humans always ate diet based on animal foods? And now, ever since, we started eating more vegetable oils, which are the main cause of plaque in the arteries, and of course a more plant-based and carbohydrate-based diet. Ever since, we've been getting sicker and sicker, and there's been more strokes and heart attacks. How can you possibly explain that?
That's kind of the standard diet for a fitness competitor, but then you can't do it.
Nah, that's not even true. For a fitness competitor, I've seen tons of videos, I've even reviewed many. They eat a very plant-based, carb-based diet. Incredibly much rice, all kinds of grains and seeds, bread, pasta, all of that stuff. That's what it's based on. And then some red meat here and there.
I watched a few of Scott Murray's videos. I mean, the guy was eating thousands of calories of sugary breakfast cereal, pizzas, and cheesecakes. I mean...
That's complete junk. What's surprising about him dying if he eats that?
You can't do that. It's not as simple as calories in and calories out. When calories come in, they go through your bloodstream, right? They go through your arteries. And if it's the wrong stuff, it will damage your arteries. I'm talking damage to the endothelium, so that your blood doesn't get enough nitric oxide gas to travel easily.
Yeah, but you don't understand how this is created. There is inflammation created, then the antioxidant called cholesterol travels to that spot, and there's of course a lot of other stuff happening. I'm just simplifying it right now. And then it tries to heal it, but when it's, for example, oxidized and you've got the small LDL particles also, they cannot do the work properly, and the inflammation keeps going and going until there's no more space.
And atherosclerosis, the hardening and narrowing of the arteries.
Exactly.
Now, some people are going to say, Ryan, they were genetically predisposed to heart disease. So was I. My dad has heart disease. He had a heart attack at 64. He's been on medications for years.
But you can't simply do blood tests and believe that your arteries are fine. You gotta do way more specific tests to know that. Have you actually done those? From what I understood, you only did blood tests. if you have low cholesterol, doesn't mean anything. If anything, you probably have a higher risk.
But at 25, when I found out I was heading down the same path, I changed my diet. It still worked out, but I just changed my diet, and now I'm off that path. I'm on a totally different path, and it's a much healthier one. So just like T. Colin Campbell said, I love this quote, genetics load the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. And that's absolutely true. I have learned through my own experience that that is true. And I can't just stand by and watch all these people who are into fitness. And it's not just fitness competitors, guys. I'm talking about your average everyday person, male or female, who wants to get into fitness. When you look up fitness on Google or YouTube, what do you see? You see hypertrophy. You see people building lots of muscle. And somehow that's become synonymous with fitness. But the way you do that, by eating a calorie surplus, by eating lots of protein, that's the exact diet that's going to wreak havoc on your health. You know, a lot of what I learned about...
Yes, overeating is going to do that. And I'm glad that he's not promoting those kind of bodies, which look very unnatural.
Fitness comes from Jack LaLanne. Jack is just my idol. I've read all of his books. I've watched all the episodes of his show. I've watched interviews, just everything. I've learned so much from Jack. And he was an amazing fitness icon that he was still working out well into his 80s and 90s. And I'm talking with intensity. He's doing some of the same workouts I do at that age. And how did he do it? Well, he ate a plant-predominant diet. I'm not talking vegan. All right, veganism's pretty extreme.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. I don't know the guy. I've seen him before. I don't really know what he ate, so I can't really comment much about him.
But if you look at the blue zones, the longest living cultures in the world, they eat plant-predominant flexitarian, meaning the vast majority of their food comes from plants, but they use a little bit of meat and dairy or fish or whatever.
No. Very, very wrong. Let's see. There's a lot of articles written about this. I've studied this for years. I can give you two examples. The Okinawans, for example, in Japan, they live very long lives. And there's an interesting thing about this. They eat a very pork-based diet. However, after World War II, because of what happened with the US and Japan, they did not have any pork anymore, almost. Which is why they started eating a lot of plants, which is when they went there to document their life and they found out that they eat a plant-based diet because they were forced to, they were starving. Later on, they went back to eating their pork-based diet when everything was back to normal. But people still use these documents from back then to prove that those people were eating a plant-based diet in Japan, which is very ridiculous. And in general, the culture in Japan, it's incredibly much raw meat, actually, and fish is also a kind of meat, which is where sashimi, sushi comes from. That's why people there in general live long lives, and the people in Okinawa ate from nose to tail, as they say. They cooked everything in lard, animal fats, high in cholesterol, all of this nonsense that you learn nowadays. That's why they lived long lives. Also, the other example are the people in Italy. They eat incredibly much fish, cheese, which has maggots crawling on it and inside of it because the cheese is rotten. All kinds of foods which nobody eats nowadays. And then they eat some olives, and yes, they use some olive oil here and there, but it's for sure not plant-based at all. If you get your information from vegan websites and videos, then yes, that's what you will learn, but it's just not at all the reality. When you look into it, even a little bit outside of vegan sources, you will find out that they eat an animal-based diet in the blue zones, in all of them.
It's just a small part of their diet. The vast majority is plants. And when you switch to that diet, I mean, Jack lived to be 96, and he was a pretty muscular dude. So it's not that you can't focus on hypertrophy.
Back then, everybody in general had access to way better food. It was not loaded with poisons as it is today.
It's not that you can't be strong. It's that you just need to put the right foods in your body. And of course, avoid the steroids. My heart goes out to everyone, all the friends and family of not just Charles and Megan and Scott, but every fitness competitor, everyone who's gotten into fitness and lost their life because of it. I mean, geez, fitness isn't supposed to do that, people. Fitness is supposed to level you up. It's supposed to increase your quality of life. It's supposed to make you more mobile and more strong so you can, and improve your longevity so you can live a long life and live it with ease.
Something is not right in this guy said. How is fitness supposed to increase your longevity? By definition, the more you do, the more you eat also, as you said yourself, but somehow you don't connect these two things, the sooner you're going to die. Of course, any stress is going to decrease your longevity. People who do fitness in general are never going to live long lives. It's impossible. it never has happened and it never will happen. And living to 80 or 90 years old is not long. There's been people who lived to 120 years and they for sure did not do any kind of exercise. If anything, they lived very sedentary lifestyles.
And without pain. That is what fitness is supposed to do. And somehow, somewhere along the way, we've lost that message. You know, Jack LaLanne would be rolling over in his grave right now if he saw what people are doing to their bodies in the name of fitness. That's not what it's supposed to be. So, you know, when I started this channel, like I mentioned, there were two messages, right? Bodyweight fitness and plant-based nutrition. I'm bringing nutrition back. I've been leaning completely on fitness because that seems to be what people want. But you know what? I don't care, guys. I need to get this message out there. I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm very passionate about it, and I know firsthand experience that it helps. And a lot of people out there, I know a lot of people are going to need this, especially with the obsession, the way that, you know, women have been manipulated for who knows how long to think that they need to wear makeup to look beautiful, right? And we know that's not true, but it's just part of...
It's kind of true today because then they can cover up the acne and dark eye circles, the wrinkles. In general, of course, no, naturally, nobody needs makeup.
Of how society is. So women, a lot of them can't even leave the house without putting on makeup. And in the same way, men
it's understandable
are being manipulated now.
today.
That in order to be masculine, we have to be physically large and have huge muscles. It's being pushed on us by Hollywood. You know, like you can't have a lead role as a male actor nowadays without being ripped and having a six-pack.
Okay, yeah, that he got really right. It's an agenda, basically.
I mean, what's going on there? Some of the best world leaders weren't shredded. You know, Nelson Mandela and all these people, they didn't look like superheroes. We're being manipulated into thinking we need big muscles, and then we go eating a high-protein diet and a calorie surplus, lifting weights, and then boom, we wind up sick, and we wonder...
Why would you wind up sick by eating a high-protein diet? Where's the actual explanation? I don't get it.
What the hell happened? And I need to make a change. So, nutrition's coming back to the channel, guys. Subscribe if you want to learn more. I'll see ya.
I wonder how old this guy is. He looks like he's in his mid-30s. But then again, he was talking about 20-year-olds. I don't really understand. Anyway, there's a lot of problems with what he said. For one thing, if you eat a plant-based diet, which is what he's promoting, you're gonna be overeating, which is exactly what he's against, from what I understand, because plants don't have over 15 micronutrients. It's just like pregnant women who crave a lot of nutrients, they overeat and get fat. It's the same with bodybuilders. They're gonna eat incredibly much rice and whatnot because they have basically no micronutrients, which is why you're gonna be over-consuming carbs, sugar. That's gonna release a lot of insulin, which is an aging hormone. And of course, you're going to look a lot older than you're supposed to because your body will basically be older. It's as if he was going in the right direction, but then he was lost in the path of nutrition. Because that's what the mainstream nowadays promotes, a plant-based diet. Most people believe that meat is bad for you, especially animal fat. And of course you come to the conclusion that you should eat plant-based. There's not much you can do about it. It's a deep-seated belief that most people have nowadays. Our minds are manipulated, of course. The other problem is that he generally, for whatever reason, believes that fitness, exercise, and sports will make you healthy and increase your longevity, but that couldn't be further from the truth. If that's your mindset, then you're going down the wrong path altogether. If you want to live a long life, then you gotta stop exercising, live a very peaceful life without any kind of stress, and exercise is some of the worst stress that you can put on your body, and start eating an animal-based diet, which would be based on raw animal organs. Think about it. If you eat a small piece of liver, it has all the micronutrients, incredibly many of them. You will be very satisfied. A little bit of fat also, some brain. It's amazing. Then think about eating anything plant-based, which doesn't have over 15 micronutrients. You're gonna be eating incredibly much. The insulin is gonna go through the roof, and you're gonna create a lot of AGEs, advanced glycation end products. Just compare the two and then think about what you're doing in general. You just really don't see the right natural path. Thanks for watching, guys.